fully supported. I mean, this interpretation is not one which I am attributing to the Holy Quran because I want to laud its teachings. This is exactly supported by hadith, a tradition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said that according to this hadith Qudsi, which is based on a revelation of God, Allah told him that when my servant exercise humility, I send a chain from heaven who wraps him up and lifts him to the seventh heaven. Now the chain indicates different stages, different links. And when you read this hadith in totality, the message delivered is very clear that if you want to rise in the sight of Allah, lower yourself in your own sight in relation to Allah. Then heaven would see to it that your station is lifted. Seventh heaven is the last, the maximum you can reach. So if your prostration, that is inner prostration, is genuine and sincere, and it is of course sincere and genuine, but it reaches a certain stage and not beyond, then maybe that chain leaves you at the first heaven and no more. But if it is complete where you can reach, your limit of prostration, it cannot be reached just by saying I submit to God, because there are trials in life, every moment of one's life, where that prostration is tested. So if you are tested to the maximum of your capacity, then seventh heaven is your ultimate goal. So the significance of this prayer is very deep and very well connected. And once you understand, you begin to fall in love with this complex but very well organized and meaningful system of Muslim worship. Thank you. Yes, please.
Yes, Ya Holiness, I would like to know why in a Muslim country you're not allowed to eat pork.
Oh, all right. But you are asking, you're beginning the question in the wrong place. First of all, this question should have been addressed to the Jews, because they are the first in the history of religion to have forbidden the eating of pork so strictly that even today, in this world of promiscuity, there are many Jews who still abstain from eating pork, a large number of them in fact. So this question should begin with them. Secondly, the question should be addressed to the Christians. Why do you eat pork? Because nowhere in the New Testament the Christians have been permitted by Jesus Christ to eat pork. So that injunction of the book continues to be good and in operation. It has never been invalidated by Jesus Christ. So why should they eat pork? So by the time you have reached the Muslims, you should have understood the significance. The fact is, there are two main things which should be borne in mind. Number one, Allah reminds you that everything which He has created, to whom He has given life, should be respected, and life cannot be taken but with Allah's permission. So all the healthy edible things, if He has permitted you to eat, how would He know, or how can it be proved that you are eating with His permission? Unless there is always a test available. One of the edible things, permission is withdrawn. And then your submission to God is tested. That is put to test, all right. If you say you are eating fish and you're eating chicken and eating beef and mutton, etc., because it is permitted, then pork is not permitted. So the proprietor, the ultimate master, has the right, the loyalties of his subjects. So if nothing else is understood, the significance of this test is very obvious, and it should be understood. And the religion begins with such a thing: eat of the fruit of gardens, of all trees, wherever you go, but don't eat the fruit of this forbidden tree. You see, the whole Jannah is left open for you to enjoy, but not that tree. So this significance runs through all religions in different forms. And it is not essential for God to explain to you why. If you believe in Him, only then you will follow. Only then you will follow Him and His religious instructions. So if the journey begins with belief, then such questions are not asked in detail, because the significance is then in obedience, and it's sufficient significance, which is a natural outcome of belief. If you accept a government to be genuinely sovereign, then that sovereign government has to be obeyed. And then you don't have to understand every legislation, every law and rule of the country to obey it. But you have to obey, even if you disagree. So that is the first part. And the second part is that pork is forbidden. I understand, although it's not mentioned in any detail. I believe that the swine, the pig, has two exceptional traits in him, exceptional habits, which are shared to a degree by some animals, but some are, one of the habits at least, which we find not shared by others. And so one of the ugliest habits. For instance, I'm talking of this second one. Those animals who are flesh eaters, like beasts of the jungle, etc., even despite the fact that they are flesh eaters, they don't eat the flesh of their own sort when it dies. You will never hear of lions eating the flesh of lions. They will starve in hunger, never eat the flesh of dead or live lions. The wolves, supposed to be the most ferocious animals, they don't eat each other up. They will die in pain and suffering. They will become skeletons while they live, but they would never dream of attacking their own brothers and eating their flesh. Now, this is a strange animal. It is largely vegetarian. But when a pig dies, it would eat its flesh. A pig would eat the flesh of its own little ones. Now, this is a